And a very pleasant Sunday evening, everybody. Chief Meteorologist Mark Henderson with you from the Weather Hub. Time for our weekly Sunday evening get together as we get you set for the week ahead. Run down the full forecast coming up, which does include several changes over the coming several days. And toward the end of this video, a little something new. So hopefully you'll be able to stick around for that. Let's get you started here by showing you what's happening here in the weather world. And believe it or not, we've got some rainfall to talk about. Nothing particularly heavy, but a pretty decently organized cluster of showers that's now approaching the Mississippi River. The expectation here is that this will undergo a fairly fair weakening trend as we go over the next several hours. Still, though, we do expect there to be at least the possibility of a few showers working into our neck of the woods sometime after midnight. So let's take you hour by hour through our precision cast model. Here's where we are at 10 o'clock. This model has a very good handle of the location of the precipitation. Heavier showers, even some thunderstorms lining up west of I 35 out across portions of western and central Iowa. But closer to home and of more local interest here, these showers will continue their eastward progress here, maybe intensify just a touch to the point where we could get a brief downpour, but nothing that would be overly heavy. But overall, the weakening trend is one that's likely to continue as these showers continue to approach as we go through the overnight and early morning hours of our Monday. Could hold on to some showers for the early stages of the day and maybe, just maybe, a rumble of thunder. Our precision cast model does suggest perhaps some heavier activity inching into the Freeport area as we get closer to 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning. Heading off to work tomorrow morning, might want to grab the umbrella just to be safe, as I do think there could be some lingering showers till about 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning. This is the 8 a.m. snapshot. But from that point in time, we expect things to be generally quiet the rest of the way. I do expect a mostly cloudy sky for us here tomorrow. Still, though, I think temperatures are going to be in pleasant territory. Eventually, we'll top out once again in the mid 70s. From there, I think we're quiet here the rest of the day here tomorrow. This is the picture at noontime on Monday, showing the activity working toward the Chicago metro area. This is the picture then around dinner time here tomorrow night, with no rainfall showing up anywhere throughout northern Illinois or southern Wisconsin. Fast forward then at midnight tomorrow night, more showers and storms will start to develop out across western portions of Iowa and southwestern Minnesota, but nothing that shows any signs of impacting us. Pattern does look to turn considerably more active, especially as we get closer to the latter stages of our Tuesday. Although I think our Tuesday should get off to a generally quiet start. We will cloud over, though, once again. A couple of sprinkles may work their way into the region here as we get into Tuesday afternoon. This is the picture come noontime. And then lastly, the picture at dinner time here on Tuesday. That's where we start to reintroduce shower chances. In fact, shower chances will go up considerably as we go into Tuesday night or early Wednesday. Overall, it does tend to signal a shift, perhaps, to a more active weather pattern. This is the precipitation forecast over the next 5 days, and we'll widen this out for you, showing that while we are not expecting a ton in the way of rainfall, heavier rains are going to show up to the north and west of us. We will at least get some decent rainfall, maybe a quarter to a half inch over the next 5 days. But the signs do start to point toward this, especially as we get into the 6 to 10 day period. So, this is the period that would take us anywhere between next Saturday through the following Tuesday. Yes, above normal temperatures are likely to continue, but the pattern does look to turn considerably more active, and so above normal precipitation is likely favored. So that could be good news for folks, especially for folks who maybe having to water the grass a little too much, water your plants here. It has been a little bit of a costly time for those when it pertains to our water bills, but maybe we get some relief from Mother Nature in that respect moving forward. Let's talk about the 7 day forecast here, shall we? 74 is where we'll head for a high temperature for our Columbus Day. Morning showers and then mostly cloudy the rest of the way. Showers then return here late Tuesday, but more so Tuesday night. High temperature up to 71 degrees. Then on Wednesday, a couple of morning showers. Otherwise, remaining mostly cloudy, still seasonable, and a high of 68. Thursday might be the one dry day of the bunch as we head up to 72, and then another warming trend kicks off. A brief one, though, for our Friday. High temperature up to 77 degrees. We'll have to watch out for more showers here as we go into Friday night, which could impact high school football action. And then as we go into the weekend, it could be a little unsettled at times on Saturday. Scattered showers, maybe a thunderstorm, high temperature 71 degrees, and then 62 on Sunday with a mostly cloudy sky and an isolated shower possible. So, we talked about something new that we were going to be discussing here on our Sunday evening get together, little viewer mail, something that we put out on a post here yesterday. We opened it up to folks who had some questions. I kind of confess that it's boring around here weather-wise, and there are only so many ways you can say mostly sunny or sunny and warm. And so we're just kind of looking for ways to keep things fresh, and we reached it out. We reached out to our viewers here and our followers here on the Weather Hub to suggest what we could talk about that might be a little more interesting, maybe a little timely for this time of year. So, we're going to kick this off here. I'm going to answer a lot of these questions in separate posts. I'm going to answer about three or four of them here today, and we'll answer them in varying fashions as we go over the course of the next several days. So the first question comes from John Gaffney, who wonders, what's the difference between high pressure systems and low pressure, and what do they mean? So, John, the answer to that is high pressure. We have sinking air, and air flows then out of high pressure and towards low pressure. Low pressure air is colliding, which causes the air to rise. So, as a cardinal rule, when you have high pressure and the air is sinking, it's almost impossible to have much more than a little bit of cloudiness at all. And you factor in, or you tend to see much more in the way of sunshine. It's low pressure that is oftentimes related to unsettled weather. And so low pressure systems tend to be more associated with rain and thunderstorms. Generally speaking, the stronger the low pressure system, the more intense the shower and thunderstorm activity, or in the wintertime, snowfall activity would be. All right, next question here comes to us from Marnie, who wonders about the current weather and its effect on seasonal allergies. And allergy sufferers have had a rough go of it here this year because it's been so dry for much of the summer. And so we haven't really been able to get that moisture to clean up the atmosphere. So if you are an allergy sufferer, this year has not been a great one. The good news is that uh, that the trees are losing their leaves here with every passing day, and so we're not seeing the tree pollen be much of an issue. Grass pollen the same way, as grass is eventually going to be entering its dormant stages moving forward. So tree and grass pollen really a non-factor here moving forward. Still got some ragweed issues here, not out of control. But the big story here, if you are an allergy sufferer, and in particularly you're susceptible or sensitive to mold spores, the mold count remains very, very high. And again, until we get some moisture here to kind of wash out the atmosphere, that could be a situation that continues to persist as we go forward in time. And also, just with all of the dust here, with the crop harvest underway, and a lot of that blowing dust that's working through the rural areas, that too may be something that causes some, sensitive folks to be sneezing just a little bit more. So that's a great question there as well. Next question from Carol is, why does it seem to be getting dark earlier this year? Well, it's not getting dark earlier this year compared to other years. We're right on this very same trajectory as we normally are this time of year. But the reality is, it is getting much darker, much quicker this time of year. We're at losing between 2.5 and 2 minutes and 45 seconds of daylight per day. So we our sunset today was at 6:18. A week from today it'll be at 6:07. 2 weeks from today it'll be at 5:57, and 3 weeks from today, this will be after we've changed the clocks. Sunset will be at 4:48. So it's not necessarily that it's getting dark earlier this year compared to most, although I would say that there's maybe a psychological element to it because it has been so sunny and you go from bright to dark a lot more quickly. Whereas a lot of times in the month of October, you tend to be a little bit more cloudy and you're already dark. There's not that huge contrast. You're already kind of easing in rather than going from bright sunlight to darkness just like that. Might be a little more psychological than anything else. But the reality is, we're losing daylight quickly, and we will continue to do so here moving forward in time. Last question here, and this is a good one, and this is one we get quite a bit. This is from Josh Binning, who asks, what does a 30% chance of rain actually mean? Does it mean 30% of the viewing area will get rain, or there's a 30% a chance that you'll get rain in the location where you're at? It's a great question here. And the answer is, there's no real standard answer. Every meteorologist has been trained a different way, and they have their own system. Some people say it's a 30% chance, or it's a chance that 30% of the area would get rain. Some people say it's a 30% chance of you getting rain at that one particular point. Well, we cover a good 13 county area, so it's kind of would be doing a disservice, at least in my opinion, of saying it's going to there's a 30% chance of rain in one particular area. What I like to do is kind of marrying the two together. I'll assess my estimation of the probability of precipitation occurring somewhere in the area, and then I'll look at how much of the area will be affected by that precipitation. So let's say I think there's an 80% likelihood that there's going to be precipitation in the region, but might only cover 50% of the area. So I'll take that 80% to start, cut that in half, cut that in 50%, and I would say there's a 40% chance of rain. So I kind of use a combination tactic, and I'm not here to say that any one method is right or wrong. But the reality is, if you want to get the answer from uh, any one meteorologist, you're going to have to ask them, because I'd suspect that you're going to get a different answer from a lot of different meteorologists. And I don't think that there's a right or wrong way. I have my way. I can see other ways of doing it. It does allow for a little bit of confusion. But if you are watching the television or hearing on the radio, or you see from a certain website, every outlet has its own methodology. I tend to like to marry the two. I like to assess my estimate of the likelihood of precipitation, and then I also like to assess just how much of the area would be affected. Now, let's say there's, I think there's an 80% likelihood that there will be rain, and if it does rain, it's going to be over 100% of the area. We're going to go with 80% here. So that's kind of how that works. So hopefully that answers that question. So this was kind of fun. We got over 200 comments and questions in our little post here on Saturday. So we're going to do this again, and I'm going to do this here over the course of the week, especially when the weather is quieter. I'll answer some of these questions in graphical form. I may just respond to your questions in the comments here as well. But we're going to keep this kind of going because the feedback was so good, especially during the quieter times that we do have moving forward. So that's it for our Sunday evening get together. Hope you have a wonderful rest of your weekend and a great start to your work week. Always a pleasure to be here for you, and would thank you for your continued support of the Weather Hub. Take care, everybody, and good night.